we don't have to know each other forever to know in our hearts that we've known each other forever. So today I was on a podcast, and the craziest thing, I was listening to this podcast through another friend that I really like online, and something said, just listen to her podcast. And I did. And I really liked the energy of the host. Her name is Kelsey. And I really liked the energy of her. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, I have authored a couple of books, and I feel like we're in alignment. I'd love to be on your podcast. She emailed me right back immediately, and she's like, absolutely, let's do it. So we scheduled a podcast recording for Wednesday, and we had some real severe technical difficulties. So we rescheduled it for today. Maybe it was Thursday. It was yesterday. And then we rescheduled it for today. And then we had technical difficulties again in the middle of the podcast. And I had this moment where I just ask for me, spirit, universe, guides, whatever. I just ask, like, what is going on? Why can't we get this podcast recorded? And all I heard was clear as day was, you're just getting more opportunities to talk to each other because you're probably going to be really good friends at some point in time. And I started laughing and I was like, okay, great, but can we just get through the podcast and then we can be friends? And so we had this great conversation. We talked about everything from politics to talking to the dead to obesity, bullying, you name it. We touched every topic. Are you worthy? Are you not worthy? How much are you worthy for? Is what's enough? What isn't enough? Like, it was crazy how much we talked about in that amount of time. Actually, I think we went quite over, but it was such a beautiful conversation, and we just clicked like we knew each other forever. And what I have to say about that is that when you get an intuitive hit, a gut feeling to connect with somebody, do it. Put yourself out there. Hey, hey, can we be friends? I take a page from my son all the time. He just goes up to kids on the playground. Hey, you want to be my friend? And he connects, and sometimes he doesn't. Some kids, he's like, nope. And he intuitively knows. So if there's somebody in your life that you meet or that you want to meet, reach out to them and say, hey, I'd love to meet you. I heard about you through so-and-so, or I'm really interested in what you're doing on this planet, because those connections are powerful, because we had such a beautiful conversation. And when the podcast comes out, I think next week, I'll release it and everything that I have as well. But it was such a beautiful conversation. And I'm so incredibly grateful that I had the courage to reach out and say, hey, I'd like to be on your podcast. And she was so kind to reach right back out and say, absolutely. And when we had technical difficulties, neither one of us gave up. We kept plugging along, and it was so worth it. So reach out to people if you want to be their friend, or if you want to get together and have a cup of coffee together and get to know each other, because that's how we make this world work. That's how we connect heart to heart to heart to heart to heart to heart to heart around the world, so that everything comes back to us knowing that we are one, that we are more alike than different, and that we have so much connection on this planet, and there's more good than bad. And when we see that in each other, we can see it for the world. So I hope you have a beautiful conversation with a stranger that you meet, and that sparks a curiosity in you to have a conversation with them. And I hope it was as beautiful as ours was today. So I love you all so much. Remember, conversations matter, and conversations with strangers across the country, rooted in love, change everything. I hope you all have a great night. Bye.